Hello again, folks. Brad here. I'm venturing into some unknown territory, or relatively unknown territory, with this next restoration, which is a 1926 or so, 1926-27, Beatty Wringer washer. And for those unfamiliar with the Beatty brand, they were sort of like the Maytag of Canada. Beatty started their operation in Fergus, Ontario, which is a little town northwest of Toronto, in the 1870s. And they, like Maytag, they started off as a farm implement company and then gradually morphed into washing machines. If I remember the history correctly, they bought a small washing machine company or something and then greatly expanded on that. And then eventually became an appliance manufacturer, and you can read about the rest of the history online, but that's a little bit of their background. So very similar to Maytag, in as much as starting off as sort of in the farm equipment business and then moving into washing machines as they became popular. And in fact, some literature I've read online states that Beatty was instrumental in really encouraging and pushing the move to automation, or I guess you could call it automation in its day, of doing the laundry. So they would go door to door doing these sales calls, and would also do demonstrations in home, very similar to Maytag. And as a result, a lot of Canadian households had Beatty washing machines right up until the 50s. The problem with doing restorations on them is at least I haven't found material online. Like with Maytag, I have parts manuals and parts are still readily available, but Beatty, not so much. So anyway, without further ado, I'll switch the camera over and give you a brief outline of what I'm going to do. And I've really just started the project, so a few of the pieces I'll go over with you right now. So let's switch this over. Okay, so here's the machine, the lower portion, and this model is quite rudimentary. So it has the gearbox on the bottom. There's this drive shaft. I've removed the electric motor. So the gearbox, and then it has a very simple clutch mechanism, which activates by this handle here. So let's see if this is going to work. Yeah, so you can see what it does is it pushes the clutch up and down onto a set of teeth, and the teeth are driven on that disc by the gearbox, and it oscillates, which produces the agitation motion. So all that's exposed, which needs some thick grease on it, and then as you go in, you can see it just goes down into the gearbox. This little wooden platform is interesting. So the electric motor is hung rather than sit on it like some of the early Maytags sat on a motor board. This is suspended from the board, so you could actually, in theory, I guess, put your bar of soap or whatever sitting there. I haven't seen pictures of people actually having done that, but I don't see why you couldn't. And keeping in mind that, of course, bars of soap were commonly used, like Fell's naphtha, for example. People would shave the bar soap off. So I'm thinking you could just put it on this little board. There's the serial number. And it does have a patent date on the gearbox of 1926, which doesn't, of course, mean that it was made in 1926, but from what I can tell, they changed the gearbox in about 1928. Here's the Wringer, which I've taken partially apart. There's the drain board, which is in a rough shape, it's pretty beaten up. It had a very interesting mechanism to change the direction of the water flow out of the Wringer. So as you turned the handle here, in the direction of, whatever direction you wanted, forward or reverse, it would then slide this little mechanism, which is a little flume or a drain board. So you can see the hole is up there, and it would either cover it or, and each side was the same, just opposite, to direct your water into the appropriate tub. So that's a neat little mechanism. Let's see if I can get it to move a little bit more. Yeah, there you can see how it just slides. And then this has a groove in the middle of it, which then fit onto this bar, or this ridge on the drain plate, so it would slide along there and be supported by it as well. I think that's about it for this first video. This is missing a big bar here, a handle that was the release mechanism for the tension. So I'm going to get one of my fellow volunteers to weld a piece on there. And then as I tear apart the gearbox there and whatever, I'll come back to you with another video. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Here's just a quick update to the first part. So I've taken the covers off the Wringer gearbox and taken the cotter pin out of the handle here. So I just replaced it temporarily with a nail so I can show you how this mechanism works. So as you turn the handle, of course, it reverses forward and back depending on which way you want your rolls to go. But this was the little mechanism I was showing you earlier that moves that bar that has the little diverter for the water drain. And here's how it operates. As you turn the handle, there's this collar here. You can see there's a brass collar on the shaft. So it doesn't turn, it's just spinning, it's stationary while the shaft turns, but you can see it's attached to the bar on the bottom that moves, or that rod, I should say, that moves in and out to move the water diverter. So that's very different than a Maytag, where the cams are on the actual shaft of the rolls. So as the rolls change direction, the cams just flip the tray in the desired motion. So this is interesting because it's so very different than how the Maytag works, or a lot of other brands used the cams on the actual roller shafts. So another little tidbit of information, very interesting on the Beatty. I think that's it for now. I'll take the gears out now and of course remove the grease and clean them up and then repack them. The rolls are out, as you can see. And that's it for now.